Ah, a trophy for my collection. The starboard side of the ship, Poirot. The bow. The splash was on the right-hand side, at the front. Well hidden, but not good enough for Poirot. Perfect. From here, I should be able to dredge up whatever was thrown into the water.
Here you go, sir. I've brought what's needed to dredge the bottom, as you requested.
Thank you very much. Let's get to work. We shouldn't waste any time. I'll guide you. Wonderful. A successful catch indeed. Let's see what treasures you found for us. A can. It must have been down there for years. A worn shoe, falling to pieces. It serves some foot well. A Morse code bracelet. What an odd place to find such a thing. A plastic bottle, thoughtfully tossed overboard by a tourist, no doubt. These colors. I've seen this scarf somewhere before. It has a hole with burn marks on the edges. This handkerchief is quite ordinary, not expensive. It's stained red. Blood? No. After a night at the bottom of the Nile, the color should have faded. But the stain is still bright red, as if it were just made. It looks more like red ink. Ah, there you are, the infamous revolver of Mr. Belfort, and the presumed murder weapon. 3 bullets are missing. 3? I finally know what was thrown at 12:26 a.m. A torn scarf, a stained handkerchief, and Mr. Belfort's revolver with 3 missing bullets. The pieces of the puzzle are coming together.
So, do you know who the killer is, Mr. Poirot?
Almost, Samir. Thanks to this fruitful catch, I can now draw some new conclusions. A certain scoundrel has been laughing at Poirot, but laughter dies swiftly in a hangman's noose. When I inspected Mrs. Doyle's cabin, I remember seeing a nail polish bottle labeled pink, yet the liquid inside was clearly red. The contents of that bottle deserves a closer look. Another victory for Poirot, of course. This scarf belongs to Miss Fanchula. It disappeared from the lounge the night before Mrs. Doyle's murder. Given the size of the hole and the burn marks around it, it is clear someone fired a small caliber bullet at this scarf at close range. My little grey cells did not let me down. According to witness testimonies and my analysis of the crime scene, there were only 2 shots that night. The one fired by Miss de Belfort, which wounded Simon Doyle, and the one that killed Lynette Doyle. Who is the world's greatest detective? One less puzzle to solve. Why not? Et voilà. I now have all the facts I need to reconstruct the events of the night Lynette Doyle was murdered. And with the help of my little grey cells, I will solve the murder of Mrs. Doyle. Samir, would you be so kind as to gather all the passengers in the lounge? As quick as you can.
Everyone? Even Mr. Doyle? In his condition?
Yes. It is absolutely crucial that all the passengers are present. I'm counting on you.
Right away, Mr. Poirot.
Miss Royce, finally here you are. We were starting to worry.
Good evening, Captain. Is there somewhere secure where we can lock up Mr. Riquetti?
Mr. Riquetti? So he's the murderer? He was always so polite.
I haven't killed anyone on this stupid boat. Contact the authorities. She kidnapped me.
He's a professional hitman, extremely dangerous. He killed my partner.
I understand. I am very sorry. Let me think. You understand we've already got the ship's mechanic locked up. Well, I suppose the second storeroom in the hold should do.
Do you have a key?
Yes, of course. But this is supposed to be a pleasure boat, not a prison ship.
Then I brought him back to the boat. He's tied and locked up down below.
I see. Congratulations, mademoiselle. You are to be commended for your tenacity as well as your bravery.
Enough about me. What about you? Have you made progress on Louise's murder? Riquetti claims it wasn't him.
For once, he is telling the truth. He may be a murderer, but he's not our murderer. The best proof is that there was another murder on the boat during your absence. Mrs. Otterborn is dead.
Oh no, that poor lady. Who did it?
I was just about to answer that question. Everyone should be gathered in the lounge. If you wouldn't mind heading there, I'll join you shortly.
All right, I'll go ahead.
I see that everyone is here. Even Mr. Doyle.
I hope you have a good reason for moving Mr. Doyle. He is in very bad shape, as I've mentioned more than once, mein Herr.
I'll be fine. I want to hear what Mr. Poirot has discovered about Lynette's murder.
Thank you, monsieur. Now then, when we first began our investigation, we had two hypotheses. The first was that the murder was not premeditated. The killer witnesses the scene between Mr. Belfort and Mr. Doyle, waits for everyone to leave the lounge, grabs the revolver that was under the chair, and shoots Lynette Doyle. The second hypothesis was that the murder had been meticulously premeditated. Correct, Miss Royce?
Correct. Very quickly, we were able to eliminate one of these two hypotheses. The murder was very carefully planned and accurately timed, with all the details meticulously worked out beforehand.
Even to the drugging of my bottle of wine on the night in question. Let us explore the elements that support this hypothesis. Miss Robson had seen Mr. Belfort fire her revolver, had seen Simon Doyle collapse onto a chair, and had seen him clasp a handkerchief to his leg.
That's exactly what I saw.
What had Mr. Hayashi heard and seen? He heard a shot, and he found Doyle with a red-stained handkerchief pressed to his leg.
I can confirm that.
What had happened then? Mr. Doyle had been very insistent that Mr. Belfort should be got away, that she should not be left alone. After that, He suggested that Mr. Hayashi should get hold of the doctor. Accordingly, Miss Robson and Mr. Hayashi go out with Mr. Belfort, and for the next 5 minutes, they are busy on the port side of the deck. Miss Bowers, Dr. Bessner's, and Mr. Belfort's cabins are all on the port side.
So someone had 5 minutes alone to go and kill Mrs. Doyle.
But who?
Simon Doyle.
It is foolish, that. Do you think a man with a fractured bone and a splint on his leg could go walking about the boat and killing people? I tell you, it was impossible for Simon Doyle to leave my cabin.
But yes, the thing seems impossible, but it's nonetheless true. During my investigation, I managed to retrieve Mr. Belfort's revolver, which had been thrown into the water. It was wrapped in a stained handkerchief. To an untrained eye, this stain could have been mistaken for blood. But Hercule Poirot's eyes are not untrained. The stain was, in fact, red ink contained in one of Mrs. Doyle's bottles of nail polish.
So when Miss Robson and Mr. Hayashi saw Mr. Belfort shoot Mr. Doyle, and he writhed so piteously in pain from his injury, it was all a show. It was all staged. Mr. Doyle used that handkerchief soaked in red ink to make it look like he was bleeding from a bullet in his leg. He managed to fool everyone.
But I carried him. I clearly saw that he was in real pain.
Absolutely correct. He was indeed injured when you carried him.
But you just said that...
Patience, if you please. We're getting to the boldest part of this plan. As I mentioned earlier, after Mr. Belfort fired her shot, Mr. Doyle insisted that Miss Robson and Mr. Hayashi remove her from the lounge. Now he is alone. 2 minutes are all that Simon Doyle needs. He picks up the pistol from under the sofa, runs like a hare silently along the starboard deck, enters his wife's cabin, creeps up to her as she lies asleep, shoots her through the head, puts the bottle that has contained the red ink away, and runs back. But what does he do next? He sits back down in his chair and shoots himself in the leg. That is the moment when he's truly injured.
But what about the gunshot? We should have heard it, just like the first one. I even heard a splash in the water, which makes far less noise.
Well observed, my young friend. Mr. Doyle used an object to muffle the sound of the gunshot. Remember, on the night of the murder, Miss Van Schuler had lost her scarf. In fact, it was Simon Doyle who stole it and hid it under a cushion, setting the stage for his crime.
Scoundrel! How dare you involve me in your nasty schemes?
We fished the scarf, the handkerchief, and Mr. Belfort's revolver from the Nile. As you can see, the scarf has a hole ringed with powder burns, caused by a bullet fired at close range. You, Dr. Bessner, examined Lynette Doyle's body. You will remember that the wound showed signs of scorching. That is to say that the pistol had been placed close against the head before being fired.
So, that is exact.
Now, thanks to this scarf, we know that the gunshot was muffled. This also wasn't the shot that killed Lynette Doyle, because as we also now know that the burn marks on her skin means the gun's barrel was placed very close to her skin with nothing in between. It also could not have been the shot Mr. Belfort fired at Simon Doyle, as no one mentioned anything about it sounding muffled. Given these facts, the conclusion is quite clear. A third shot was fired that night. The third missing bullet from the revolver.
You make it sound so simple and logical.
Because it is, Monsieur Ferguson. Miss Van Schuler's scarf was used to muffle the sound of the gunshot when Mr. Doyle shot himself in the leg.
But that's not the end of the revolver's journey. Mr. Doyle wrapped the revolver in the stained handkerchief, then put everything in the scarf and tossed the bundle out the window into the Nile.
And that's the splash I heard.
Exactly, Mr. Allerton. It required very precise timing. But Monsieur Doyle acted coldly and swiftly, just as he did when he murdered his wife.
You certainly live up to your reputation, Mr. Poirot. Your theories are quite spectacular, but something is bothering me. If I am the villainous murderer who killed his wife, how do you explain the murders of Louise and Mrs. Otterbourne? What fantasies have you cooked up to explain how I could have managed those? And why? According to your theory, I was well and truly injured and bedridden in the care of Dr. Bessner all day. In fact, you're my alibi. I was even in the same room as you when poor Mrs. Otterbourne was killed.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Doyle. I hope you didn't think I was done. Let us move on to the murders of those unfortunate women. You couldn't have killed Miss Bourget and Mrs. Otterbourne, Mr. Doyle. But you're not entirely innocent of their deaths either. Remember when Louise came to testify? When I asked her if she had seen anything the previous night, she gave this curious answer. Naturally, if I had been unable to sleep, if I had mounted the stairs, then perhaps I might have seen this assassin, this monster, enter or leave Madame's cabin. Now, what exactly did that tell us? Miss Bourget lied when she said she saw nothing. She had indeed seen the murderer, Mr. Doyle, enter Lynette's cabin. But instead of coming to me, she preferred to profit from her knowledge. She tried to blackmail Mr. Doyle. She sent her carefully worded message, and he responded, "You'll be quite all right. I'll look after you."
Secret codes now? Really? Ridiculous. And you're still not answering my question. How could I have killed Louise in the saloon when I could barely walk?
It's very simple. If you didn't kill Louise Bourget, then you must have had an accomplice.
An accomplice? Are you accusing me?
This accomplice can be none other than Jacqueline de Belfort.
What?
I beg your pardon. You're insane.
As I say, it was a very cleverly planned and well thought out piece of work. It could not be chance that Simon Doyle had a bottle of red ink in his pocket. No, it must be design. It was not chance that he had a plain unmarked handkerchief with him. It was not chance that Jacqueline de Belfort's foot kicked the pistol under the settee where it would be out of sight and unremembered until later.
So you truly believe that Miss de Belfort and Mr. Doyle are accomplices?
Certainly, the two halves of the murderer. What gave Simon his alibi? It's the bullet that Miss de Belfort fired into Mr. Doyle's leg that provided him with an alibi. Even if left alone, he wouldn't have been able to crawl to his wife's cabin to kill her. But Miss de Belfort didn't actually hit Mr. Doyle with that shot. He pretended to be injured, so crawling wasn't necessary. Now let's move on to the shooter. What gives Jacqueline de Belfort her alibi? Mr. Doyle was insistent that Miss de Belfort was never to be left alone from the moment of the gunshot until this morning. That gave her a rock-solid alibi for the murder of Mrs. Doyle.
There, between the two of them, you get all the qualities you require. The cool, resourceful planning brain, Jacqueline de Belfort's brain, and the man of action to carry it out with incredible swiftness and timing.
Look at it the right way, and it answers every question. Simon Doyle and Jacqueline had been lovers. Realise that they are still lovers, and it is all clear. Simon does away with his rich wife, inherits her money, and in due course will marry his old love. It was all very ingenious.
The persecution of Mrs. Doyle by Jacqueline, all part of the plan. Simon's pretended rage. Then one night, on this boat, I thought I heard Simon and Lynette outside my cabin. He was saying, "We've got to go through with it now." It was Doyle, all right, but it was to Jacqueline he was speaking. The final drama was perfectly planned and timed. There was a sleeping draft for me, in case I might put an inconvenient finger in the pie. There was the selection of Miss Robson as a witness, the working up of the scene, Miss de Belfort's exaggerated remorse and frenzies. She made a good deal of noise in case the shot should be heard. In truth, it was an extraordinarily clever idea. Jacqueline says she shot Doyle. Miss Robson says so. Mr. Hayashi says so. And when Simon's leg is examined, he has indeed been shot. It looks unanswerable. For both of them, there is a perfect alibi. At the cost, it is true, of a certain amount of pain and risk to Simon Doyle. But it is necessary that his wound should definitely disable him. But then, the plan goes wrong. Someone sees Mr. Doyle enter his wife's cabin. Louise Bourget has been wakeful. She has come up the stairway, and she has seen Simon Doyle run along to his wife's cabin and come back. So she makes her greedy bid for hush money and, in so doing, signs her death warrant.
But Mr. Doyle couldn't have killed her.
No. The other partner did that murder. As soon as he could, Simon Doyle asks to see Jacqueline. He even asks me to leave them alone together. He tells her of the new danger. They must act at once. He knows where Bessner's scalpels are kept. And still, all is not well. For Mrs. Otterbourne has seen Jacqueline go to the saloon, and she comes hot-foot to tell Simon about it. Jacqueline is the murderess. Do you remember how Simon shouted at the poor woman? Nerves, we thought. But the door was open, and he was trying to convey the danger to his accomplice. She heard, and she acted like lightning. She remembered Pennington had talked about a revolver. She got hold of it, crept up outside the door, listened, and at the critical moment, fired. She boasted once that she was a good shot, and her boast was not an idle one. I remarked, after that third crime, that there were 3 ways the murderer could have gone. I meant that he could have gone aft, in which case Ferguson was the criminal. He could have gone over the side, very improbable. Or he could have gone into a cabin. Jacqueline's cabin was just 2 away from Dr. Bessner's. She had only to throw down the revolver and bolt into the cabin. It was risky, but it was the only possible chance.
So you killed my mother, you filthy witch!
Rosalie, no. I understand, but attacking her isn't the answer. Come on, how can you listen to the ramblings of this old fool? His entire grand theory is based on the fancies he's made up out of whole cloth, without a shred of evidence.
You might hope it is so, young man. You insist more proof is needed? You hope Poirot is a doddering old fool? Then by all means, let's allow someone else to dodder some. Miss Royce, if you would.
With pleasure. The irrefutable proof is tiny, but look here. You can see that the wood is damaged, and the bullet that caused it is still lodged in the hole. I'm sure forensics will prove that it's a .22 caliber cartridge fired from the murder weapon. This is the bullet Mr. Belfour shot at Simon Doyle. It ended up in the wall, not in his leg.
Damn you! Damn you both! Our plan was perfect! It took 2 meddling detectives to work it out. Jackie and I were going to be rich and happy. We deserved it!
And we derive the penalty for our failure. Simon, darling, let me speak. You were too clever for us, Mr. Poirot. That night, at our swan, you told me not to open my heart to evil. Did you realize then what was in my mind?
I only knew that what I said was true.
It was true I could have stopped then, you know. I nearly did. I could have told Simon that I wouldn't go on with it. But then perhaps... Would you like to hear about it? From the beginning?
If you care to tell me, mademoiselle.
It was all very simple, really. You see, Simon and I loved each other.
And for you, love would have been enough. But not for him.
You might put it that way, perhaps. Simon always wanted money so dreadfully, and all the same, he never tried to marry anybody rich and horrid. He wasn't that sort. And then we met. Our love was obvious from the first glance. We were broke, but we wanted to get married. There we were, up against it. And then I thought of Lynette. It might make all the difference to me and Simon if she'd give him a job. It was about then that you saw us that night at Chez ma tante. You know, Mr. Poirot, I loved Lynette, really I did. She was my best friend, and I never dreamed that anything would ever come between us. But she went all out to get Simon away from me. I don't think she even hesitated for more than about a minute. I was her friend, but she didn't care. She just went bald-headed for Simon. That's why I'm not really sorry about her, even now. And Simon didn't care a damn about her. But he did like the thought of her money. Of course I saw that. And at last I suggested to him that it might be a good thing if he got rid of me and married Lynette. But he scouted the idea. He said, money or no money, it would be hell to be married to her. He said his idea of having money was to have it himself. He talked about it a good deal one way and another, about how convenient it would be if Lynette died. I said it was an awful idea, and then he shut up about it. After a bit, I saw that he'd made up his mind, and I was terrified. Simply terrified. Because you see, I realized that he'd never pull it off. He'd have no kind of subtlety about it. And he's got no imagination. So I had to come into it too. to look after him. I thought and I thought, trying to work out a plan. It seemed to me that the basis of the idea ought to be a kind of two-handed alibi. You know, Simon and I could somehow or other give evidence against each other, but actually that evidence would clear us of everything. It would be easy enough for me to pretend to hate Simon. It was quite a likely thing to happen under the circumstances. Then, if Lynette was killed, I should probably be suspected. So it would be better if I was suspected right away. We worked out details little by little. Even then, Simon went and wrote a J in blood, which was a silly, melodramatic thing to do. It's just the sort of thing he would think of. But it all went off fine. And then there was Louise.
Yes. It was not your fault that Louise Bourget could not sleep that night.
That miserable Frenchwoman tried to blackmail us. I pretended to grovel. I took her all the money we could get hold of. And then, when she was counting the money, I did it. It was quite easy. That's what's so horribly frightening about it. It's so terribly easy. And even then, we weren't safe. Mrs. Otterbourne had seen me. I'd no time to think. I just acted like a flash. It was almost exciting.
Love can be a very frightening thing.
That is why most great love stories are tragedies. Don't mind so much for me, Monsieur Poirot. After all, I've always lived hard, you know.
Jackie, I ruined everything. I'm sorry for it all, my love. If I had known all this before,
It's all right, Simon. A fool's game, and we've lost. That's all.
Look out! She took my gun!
Adieu, mon amour.